Now we will be soldering wires to the printed circuit board that you installed into the top half of the VersaSpeaker. So we want to install these wires in a way that makes sense and allows us to do other things as well. The white wire at the bottom here we want to install at an angle and away from this area here, because the back half of the case will be installed and there's a plastic boss here and a screw, so you want to keep that away from this area right here at an angle. And it also, you'll notice it kind of goes down pretty directly to the bottom of this case. Another reason is because there is a ridge on the back of the case that gets, once that back case gets installed, it pushes that wire down a little, so you want to have that out of the way to begin with. The black wire here, comes out pretty straight and then goes down, stays away from this plastic case. The red wire on top comes out pretty straight. You can put this at more of an angle if you wish, more of an angle up here. Otherwise it comes out pretty directly. I might prefer it at a little bit more of an angle if possible. Nothing is touching any of these pads or these pins here. That's pretty important. And then the black wire here, excuse me, in the middle is coming out at a little bit of an angle. It's nice if you can get it at a little bit more of an angle, but not touch this top pad. That's pretty important. Don't touch this top pad with that black wire. The reason we would like to come out with an angle with this wire is when we plug in this programming header, we need space, and we also can't have the wire come out and be bare out here, so because it would touch these pins on the programming header and short it out. So that's kind of the basics of the wire routing. So what we'll do when we're ready to solder, you want to make sure you hold your soldering iron the correct way. I would recommend holding it along this edge and like this, not like this. And here's why. If you hold it like this, it's very easy to get that hot edge of the iron and ruin this edge of the plastic here. It will ruin the seal and you can't use the board or the assembly anymore because the seal's ruined. It's trash. So I would recommend holding it like this at an angle, using your hand as a brace, and being aware of where the hot soldering iron is. What we'll do now is we'll fill these pads up with some solder. You want to use lead-free solder. And we'll start with the red wire. So I'm going to flip this guy kind of upside down. I'm going to place these wires around the edge of the speaker. And I'm going to put this red wire in like this. So I'm kind of getting it at an angle, soldering it. You'll notice that the insulation burned away some, and that's really not cool. So what I'm going to do is, I could leave it for this red wire, but I don't like it because it's at the top and it's not likely to move. But what I did was clip the end of the wire, so I have not as much bare wire, and I'm just going to solder it again, try to get it tighter so that insulation is where it needs to be. Okay, so I soldered it. It's nice and tight, not much bare wire there. So this guy here has kind of a long end, and it'll probably burn back a little, so I'm going to clip a little bit off. Not a lot, a little bit. You want to be careful you don't let those clippings fall into the case, because if they do, they could float around in there and cause a short circuit and ruin the product sometime in the future. So I'm going to hold this black wire at an angle and solder it. Now it did burn back a little, so I'm just going to reheat it and push the wire that way. So It's more where I'm comfortable at. So we've got some insulation covering the wire to the pad, and we can still bend that wire up a little and it won't touch that other pad. And we can still use our programming header. Okay, looks good. Now we're going to solder the white wire. This guy will be soldered on the bottom, and we can put him in at an angle pretty nicely. Then what we do is just kind of push him down to the bottom of the case. Okay. Next up, black wire, which we will trim a little bit because it's kind of long. Come in with our proper soldering iron position and just heat up that pad and fasten the wire and you're good to go. Okay, you'll notice white wire is not obstructing any boss area, any plastic area at an angle. It's not connecting to any of these pins. Black wire, not obstructing boss area, not connecting to any of these pins. Both wires go down pretty directly. Red wire, nicely at an angle. No bare wire past this edge of the board. And black wire, same thing, at an angle, no bare wire. And the insulation protects it from touching that other pad. Okay, good to go.